port of Goldeneye to modern systems is all that every 30-something gamer has been wishing for years. So naturally, I've been a little disappointed in the reception that it's been getting since its release. However, being the amazing reviewer that I am, I can't just take other people's words for it. I had to check it out and see for myself. So, is the recent Goldeneye port any good? Let's jump in and find out. All joking aside, I went into Goldeneye with an open mind. Obviously, I've heard the negativity, but I chalked most of it up to the idea that no matter how good of a port is made, it wouldn't be able to live up to the legendary status that we have set for it in our heads. After running through the story, I can confidently say that that was a pretty good assumption. This port is actually pretty good. It's not amazing, it has issues, but at its core, Goldeneye is a fun game, and this makes it more accessible by bringing it to modern consoles. So, why all the hate and disappointment? Well, I actually have a pretty good theory for that, but first, I want to actually talk about the port itself in detail and tell you what I did and did not like. It's important to know that while it was ported to both the Xbox and Nintendo Switch systems, both ports were actually made by different teams. For the most part, both games are essentially the same. There are a few key differences that affect the overall quality of these games though, so let's talk about those. The biggest difference is the controls. The Switch version's controls are, in a word, ridiculous. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the game is borderline unplayable. I mean, you can play it, but you won't enjoy it. It goes against everything we have learned as gamers, and sure, you could try to get used to it, but you shouldn't have to. It's just a mess. And I don't want to hear someone say that the original N64 version was designed for a one-stick control scheme, and they were trying to channel that into the Switch, because honestly, that may have been the biggest issue with the original game. Those controls didn't work good then, and now that we know a better way, they definitely do not work now. That being said, it does bring me to the first positive, and that's the Xbox controls. Goldeneye, for the first time ever, actually feels pretty decent to control. There isn't a ton to say about it. It basically just updates Goldeneye to the tried and true dual-stick FPS controls. But it works, and it feels really good. The next part I want to touch on is the way that the game looks. Both versions do support widescreen, however, the Xbox version supports widescreen natively, whereas the Switch version starts in a 4:3 aspect ratio like the original. The original game did support widescreen if you changed it to that, but it doesn't look quite as nice as the Xbox version. Also, the Switch version can only do 1080p, whereas the Xbox version can be played in 4K. Now that sounds like another win for Xbox, but honestly you can't really tell a difference. An N64 game running in 4K doesn't look impressive at all, and if anything, it may be too sharp and cause some issues. I had a ton of instances of pixels not matching up or just looking odd, especially on big pieces of terrain that were supposed to connect. You could see the lines in the terrain, and a lot of times you could actually see through them into nothingness. This isn't game breaking, it's kind of just whatever, but I did want to mention it. Also, on the subject of how it looks, I have heard about a lot of issues with frame rate, which doesn't make a lot of sense because it shouldn't be taxing on either system. But thankfully, I didn't really experience it too much, or if I did, it was so minor I didn't notice. I have no ability to actually test frame rates, but it passed the eye test for me. Now the last difference, and really the real issue with this game, is the multiplayer. Short version is Switch has online multiplayer and the Xbox version doesn't. Again, this is another decision that makes no sense, especially since the Switch has notoriously bad internet services, which causes you to have a mixed experience even if you can get a game with your friends set up. Basically, I would sum up both ports like this. I would stay away from the Switch version completely. It may sound nitpicky, but I seriously believe that if you have fond memories of Goldeneye, the controls on the Switch are so bad that it could ruin those memories. On the flip side, the X version is really good, and yet it still seems to be a disappointment. So why is that? Well, for me it's simple. I poured thousands of hours into Goldeneye growing up, and playing this Xbox version was fun. I mean, sure, there were a few inconvenient pop-ins and some weird textures and whatnot, but the story and gameplay is exactly how I remember it. Except that with all of those hours that I played, very few of them were actually spent playing the story. Like anything else, all us 90s kids want is nostalgia. And sure, I love jumping off the dam in the first mission, but that's basically all I remember of it. Goldeneye without the ability to set up proximity mines in the bathroom to ambush my friend Ryan or to sneak up behind Shay in a slaps-only contest is not actually Goldeneye. It's just another single-player shooter that I don't really remember playing that much. If you are under 30 and you don't really understand what I'm saying, then think of it like this. It would be like re-releasing Halo 2 but without the online multiplayer. That's the exact same thing. Sure, the Halo 2 campaign was good, but it's not why you sunk so many hours into it. But if you made it this far, then you are obviously interested in the topic, so let me say that Mason is currently working on a video about the Perfect Dark remaster so that he can compare it to this because it is the spiritual successor to Goldeneye. So if you're watching this a week after I uploaded it, then you should see a link right now to that video. If you don't see a link, it's probably not been a week, or I just got super lazy. More than likely the second part. Also, thank you for watching the video, it truly does mean a lot. I always knew we would get 1,000 subscribers, but I never thought it would happen this soon and with as much support as we get. You guys all mean the world to me. That being said, that was just one small goal, so let's keep growing. If you enjoyed this and you haven't yet, subscribe. Hit the like button and click the bell so you can keep up to date with us. We release videos weekly that my mom says are quite amazing, and I know she wouldn't lie to me. Seriously though, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys down in the chat.